Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. Today's video we are going to be making a fun little shadow box card that still fits into an A2 size envelope. Interactive cards can sometimes be tricky. This one did take me a minute to figure out, but I think the end result was totally worth the little bit of time it took me to figure it out because it's totally adorable. So I am working with some products from Pretty Pink Posh. This is an edited live replay, so you'll see me down there in the corner a little bit. I used Party Time and Dog and Cat Birthday, as well as the Shadow Box dies themselves. I've owned them for over a year and had not used them yet, which I'm so sad it took me so long because it's really very adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp these out in ink that is safe for alcohol markers because I am going to be Copic coloring my images. You can color yours however best suits you. I just prefer the alcohol markers. And I kept this pretty, I guess pretty gender neutral. Like I kept it with like primary colors, so this could really go to anybody. But you could, customize the colors for whatever works for you. So I chose to look at this like chubby little, what is he, like a little pug, chubby little bulldog? I don't know. I ended up with not chubby dogs, even though I love a chubby dog. Like I love a chubby dog. And somehow I ended up with completely not chubby dogs at all. Big dogs too. I wanted like a chubby little lap dog when I became an adult and was going to pick my own dog, but my dogs picked me. So anyway, this one I chose because it has like the little spots. I chose to color him white. That's the gray that we did. So the grays, we're just adding the shadows, and then I went ahead and added some brown spots. Before we get too far along, I do want to mention that Memorial Day is coming. Memorial Day sales are coming, and one of them is here, and it is Pretty Pink Posh. They are having a 20% off Memorial Day sale. The code is Memorial26. I'll link it below, and that's good through May 25th, through Memorial Day itself. And that is site-wide with the exclusion of the newest May release. But everything I'm using here today is 20% off. And all their embellishments are great and really love their products. I'll link at the end of the video some other videos I've done with their products if you're looking for some more inspiration. So I'm using those same gray markers to color in my Dalmatian. Again, like where one leg is behind, we'll add shadows. Where this, like the rear leg, his little like thigh is sitting in the front, that will have lighter color. So the leg behind it will have shadow. And then I'm just filling in the Dalmatian dots with a little bit of black, gray, and like darker grays. And then for my little kitty cat, for some reason, when I see these cats, and I know that there is like a striped, like tabby cat. I know that. I shouldn't say I've never owned a cat. My sister had a cat 1 million years ago. His name was Smokey. And that was I was in my 20s. That's how long ago it was. But anyway, for some reason, whenever I see a little stripy cat drawn like this, I always think it's a ginger cat. I do not know why that is, but my brain's like, that's a ginger cat. And so I color them ginger colors. For Copics, I find that the best family of that is the E39. So these, the coloring is sped up quite a bit because the star of the show is kind of the shadow box. If you are like, hey, I'd like to see this coloring a little bit more slowed down, you can use the gear on the YouTube, like below. There's a little gear. If you click it, it can let you change the settings. So you can either speed me up so I sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks, or slow me down. If you do either one of those, I would highly recommend that you mute me so you don't have to hear that. I had to take a quick break to go see if maybe I could get my dog to stop barking. Please don't mind the background noises that you may be hearing. We are like a week away from the end of school, so the sounds of summer are strong right now, even though it doesn't feel like summer. It's only 60 degrees today. But anyway, there's kids playing in my backyard. There's dogs running and barking, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. So please don't mind all of the background noises. Your girl's doing the best that she can. Just doing the best I can. So you'll notice that I did color some of those presents gray. The reason that I colored them gray is because they have extra elements that I want to leave white. So they have stripes or polka dots that I want to leave white. And I find that it's much, much easier to color the whole image with the white shading. So with the grays, where we're just adding the shadows, and then add in the color over top of that, versus having to go in and color each stripe white or each polka dot white. So I just do them all together. Okay, for the balloons. If you've watched my videos before, you may have seen this technique. For the balloons, they're darkest where they're gathered at the bottom, lightest in the center. But then if you want to make them look transparent, which is a fun little extra thing that you can do, I'll show you how to do that as well. You do want to make sure, like, so I selected the red balloon. You want to make sure that whatever color you're putting next to each other, that they work well together. They work nicely. So like, I'm not going to put a green balloon next to my red balloon because they're complementary colors and they will make brown. And that's not really the vibe we're going for our birthday party here. So putting my red balloon in the middle means that I can go with a blue, a pink, a purple on the right hand side, or I could go with a yellow, an orange on the left hand side. Like those are options. So we're going to color it the same way. We're going to add the shading down where it's gathered, and then we're kind of going to bring it up and around, leaving a little bit of a gap. And then for the lightest color, we're just going to fill that in. Here is where we're going to make it transparent. You're just going to follow the shape of the balloon right over that red. And then it's going to help it to look like you can see through that red balloon to the blue one that is behind it. And we'll see this again when I do the yellow one here in just a little bit. So like I said, I chose the primary colors so I could give this card to anybody because I don't necessarily have anybody in mind right as I'm making it. And then for the yellows are a little bit tricky because I like a golden yellow, but I like dimension. So I shade it my darkest color with a brown. It's an E99. And then when I go an E99 to a YR24, and then when I go over it, with the Y08, I go over everything. And that really helps it to look like it's a golden yellow. So I'm doing the same thing here with this balloon, except you'll notice when I go over the red with my lightest color, you can't even see it. So sometimes you do have to then use your midtone. So in order for me to be able to see that yellow peeking through, I had to use not my lightest color, but my light midtone, which was a Y08. And then we're just going to go through. Here's where I'm coloring in those other stripes. And then we're going to kind of skip some of we've seen the coloring of the presents and the coloring of the bows. I'm going to leave in the coloring of the cake, because that is a little bit different. Oh, I'm going to get this green balloon over here as well. And I think the bow. But anywho, so yeah, we're right on the precipice of summer. Like we're almost there. So tomorrow is my Peanut's birthday. It's a big birthday. It's his 13th birthday. This is not his card. He has picked a guitar theme for his birthday party, so you shall be seeing a guitar card in the future, because I do try to keep them on theme. Here for the cake, underneath the frosting and in between the layers, I'm adding some shading, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of shading in from the left and the right hand side. This is going to help give it like a center highlight and help it look more rounded. I'm not adding a ton of darkness with the brown, just enough to give it that dimension. Also, I do want to mention when we have a lot going on, like we do with this card, okay, there's a lot of elements, 2 dogs, presents, cake, cat, like all of this stuff. I try to limit I don't want to say limit the amount of colors because you can see I have quite a few colors here, but I do try to limit the shades of the colors. So like, for the cake, I used that same brown that I used to do our chubby little pug bulldogs spots. I just repeated that brown. And then the same thing for the presents. Like I just let them all, I just kept using the same colors. So now let's get into the shadow box. So here, this base piece, we're going to cut 2 of these. I'm cutting this out of Cosmic Sky from Spellbinders. And then I want the scallop frame. You don't have to use it, but I want a scallop frame, and I'm cutting that out of white. There's one piece that is the scallop, and then there's one piece that's the inside frame. You can use that scallop piece separate as just like on a card. And you can also use the frame piece separate. We'll use that frame piece to cut the frame out of our base as well. And then there's a hill, that's this one here. And this is out of, it's either Rainforest or Peridot. I can't remember. I'll double check before I link. And then all the rest of our die cutting. But in that, there's a hill, and then that little hill has like accessories. It has like grass, it has clouds. There's something else in there too, maybe like a slopey hill. But anyway, so you can change that up, and it'll change what the hill looks like. So here I cut 2 of those pieces out of the blue. I'm going to cut my frame out, cut my hill out, and then here's the hill. You can see it gives you those little what is the word that I want? Like the pre-folded little the score marks, but it's not a score mark. It's the the little tearaway thing. Why can't I think of the word? Somebody's going to put it in the comments. I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, why was that eluding me? So when I cut the second one, I'm going to take that middle part of our frame and I'm going to put it directly into the center of the largest rectangle here. And this is going to cut out the front portion of our shadow box so that we can see into it to see all of our wonderful layers. So I'm just making sure that I have it straight, and then I can go ahead and run it through, and then I will cut my second little hill here, because these are the things I'm like stacking them up on. I went with green because that just seemed like, I don't know, if you were having a cat and dog birthday party, I feel like it would be outside. Which is silly because my dogs have their birthday parties inside. Not that we have like full on parties. I totally would, by the way. I'm no judgment on that. But I have only done the birthday cakes, for like the big birthdays. So here, I'm going to line up that grass there, and then I'm cutting the hill out of white, and that white is then going to become my clouds. So I'm just running all of those through. And then I believe, yeah, here, so you can see the little grasses. And then I will do the clouds for this one. And then I think that's all of our die cutting complete to put our little scene together. You obviously don't have to do as many things as I have going on, and I will be 100% truthful with you. You guys know I try to keep it real. The little grassy hills, I don't even think you can see the tops of them because of all the stuff that I shot. That I put in there. So that probably wasn't necessary, but I do love that it's an option in the future. So here I have my little chubby bunny, doggy, and then I have my little cakes, and then my intention, the reason I picked the Dalmatian is because the Dalmatian with the balloon was taller. So I'm going to put him in the background with the other presents and the balloons, and then the clouds in the furthest back. This is how I'm walking myself through it. So here I'm just kind of marking on my front green hill. I'm just kind of marking where I need to glue my things. And then I am going to glue down my presents. And I put glue on everything. I don't need glue on everything. Don't be crazy. You just need glue on the bottom part because you don't want it all sticking together. Otherwise it won't pop up, which is the whole purpose of doing a shadow box. Am I right? So don't put glue all over it. Just put glue on the bottom. So then for the doggy, yeah, I just put him on the bottom, and you can see he is hanging over that edge that is that has the strip, like the predetermined strip there. And so I'm going to end up having to cut off his little tushy. So I'm going to fold this back, and then I'm just going to take my little scissors and trim off his little tush so that way he'll fit into the window and he will not interfere with the function of the shadow box. So I love a dry fit. I love to like kind of lay everything out and mess around with it and see where it's going to go. That is what you see me doing here. I don't know that this was very successful because I had no idea what I was doing. It's good to be self-aware. I really had no idea what I was doing. This was the first time I had ever put the shadow box together. So I was thinking like he was really high up there. He didn't end up being that high up in the actual putting together of the shadow box. This is again because I didn't understand the workings. Engineer I am not. My degree is in criminal justice. So here I then moved the little balloons over, and I had to move his little snoot, his little boopy snout. I had to move that in front. So the cake and the first dog are adhered to one hill, the Dalmatian and the presents are adhered to the second hill. So now in order to put these together, I am going to use a little bit of like double-sided tearaway tape. These are really, because they're kind of like perforated. Oh my gosh, it was a long walk because they're perforated. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, words are hard. Because they're perforated, I was just able to fold them in half. I didn't even need to use a bone folder. But you're only going to put adhesive on the little like flap that hangs over. And so when I first put it down, I lined up the inside of the flap, and then I had a little bit of trouble with it lining up. So I would actually recommend, but you're going to see me pull it apart here in a second. And I would recommend flipping it over, putting the inside flap down, like the piece with the inside flap down first, and then lining up the other piece on top. This is going to give you a much cleaner edge. And then you're going to know that it's square and it lines up. So here is the whole premise here of the little shadow box. You can see how it's going to come together. But before we do that, we got to put all of our parts in. And this nearly got the best of me. It took me a minute of playing around with it to understand, because I knew that they needed to be layered in order. You can see me here, like putting them on. Like I knew that it needed to be layered in order for all of the parts to show. What I did not realize was that what I needed to do was not layer them up, like from the bottom of the shadow box to the top of the shadow box. I needed to layer them out. So almost like they were steps. So here I'm putting on my adhesive. Again, we just want to put the adhesive on the perforated flaps. And then that way here, like I'm lining it up on one side with the edge, and then I'm just going to close, so I'm going to remove my tape. I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to close my shadow box, and it will pick up the other side. But you can only do that one time. It won't work again because now their sides are put together. So you can either do all of them at one time, or you have to do what I did, which was remove that part of the tape. So here, when I start to put it down, I'm trying to put them right on top of each other. You can see me doing this here. And here's where I realize this ain't going to work because it's already adhered. And I leave these struggles in because I think it's important to know that you are not alone. That if you are struggling, that it's not just you. So here's where I figured out that it has to go up. So I'm adhering them, but see how it is in front of, it's higher up on the sides, and it's harder to see as I'm putting it together, but I will show you, I'm going to show you while I put it together, obviously, but I will show you at the end how you can see it along the side. See how there's a gap in between them, but along the side, it looks like steps. And so now I'm going to put in my last piece. Again, I'm only putting that adhesive on the perforated sides. This one's going to be the one closest to the front. So I want this one to be pretty high up on the sides. I did end up having to, if you were part of the live, you saw this struggle live and in living color. But I did end up having to kind of take them apart so that I could make it more even, the spaces more even, but it looks like steps on the side so that the like it's rising up, which just means it's getting closer to the edge. Now, here is where I realized that I was so, and this happens to me with interactive cards, that I was so concentrated on putting the steps in that I completely forgot to adhere the frame on the outside. This would have been way easier to do if it was flat. It was not flat, so I just made it work. I just held it in my hands and made sure that it was pushed down, and that worked just fine. So then here I'll show you. Here's how, see how it looks like steps. So the clouds are the furthest to the base, and then I'm stepping them up as they get closer to the front. This is going to create the distance that we need for it to be an actual shadow box. But see how far away it is from the actual front of the shadow box? That's why I had to adjust it. And then also you could see the blue like between the clouds and the grass. So I chose to trim out another piece of white, and then I'm just going to fit this in. I traced it, like I traced the actual die so that I could fit it in there, and then, that way I could just slide it in, and I, again, wouldn't have to worry about it interfering with the folds. And then I'll just trim off the excess. Because for the most part, you're not really even going to be able to see that. It just kind of slides up underneath those clouds, so that there's not that blue in between. So now you could see, I just showed you there that they are a little bit more evenly spaced. And now we can finally close our box. So I am putting that adhesive again just on the flap. I'm going to go ahead and remove its release paper. And then I am going to fold it down. I'm looking at that outside edge to make sure everything is squared up. That's the part that I'm paying attention to. And I'm just going to run my fingers inside there to really make sure that it is secure. And then, so that's the whole, see how it lays flat and it still fits into an A2 size envelope. Adorable. I did not put a happy birthday sentiment on it, though I should have. And then if you wanted to give this, you could give this like inside of a birthday card, or you could write on like the back of it and do, happy birthday from whomever. I put the little cat on the outside top left corner, just to kind of finish off the scene. I think it came out really, really adorable, even though I did struggle a smidge. I hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget to shop that sale. It's good through the 25th, the 20% off. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.